New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. And hello again, dear ones. Reverend Robert with you over here.
Reverend Z right here.
And this is New Thought Today here on the New Thought Media Network, a chance where we get to take a look at, well, what's happening in the world of New Thought today and perhaps tomorrow. And sometimes we even learn a little bit from our past as well. So good afternoon, Z. Welcome aboard.
Hey, welcome. Good to be here. Preparing and got my mind on the snow that's coming to Denver, and they're saying we might get another foot or so. So I'm gonna get out of here and try to get ahead of it in a few minutes.
I'll put bets on 6 to 8 inches at my place. How's that sound?
Yeah.
So,
but they're saying another 3 or 4 tomorrow, though. That's the key. That's the kicker.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. So it's going to snow in Colorado. It's beautiful everywhere else in the country because it was snowing everywhere else last week, and it was beautiful here.
Yes.
I guess that's just the way it goes. Hey, folks, thanks for being with us. Do feel free to drop a like, drop a share, drop a subscription to New Thought Media Network. If you haven't already, let your friends know what we're doing here. We're here on this program every week. You're welcome to join the conversation as we go along today. Drop your comments in the chat box. So please do that. All right, Z. So I keep thinking of it from this perspective, and I don't know if I've shared this with you or not yet, but I want this to be Martin Luther King week.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, it took forever to get a Martin Luther King Day, and his actual birthday was on Sunday. The holiday celebration, the federal holiday, is always a Monday. So we were doing some celebrating on Sunday. People were talking about his life on Saturday. Monday, obviously, the social media. Let's just make it a whole week. Let's call it from, the Sunday through at least Friday of the next week. All week long, we get to honor, celebrate, and I think look at the inspiration that MLK, who he was as a man, but also, let's be real, he cast a mighty, mighty vision. In those days, he called it a dream. And here we are. Are we activating that dream? Are we living that dream? Or are we just playing lip service to it?
Well, that's one of the key points, I believe, is that, for a lot of holidays around important people, and specifically right now about MLK, we do a lot of requoting and so forth and so on. But I'd like to see how many people are engaging in the day of service or going out and participating in the parades and marches and those types of things where you get out and do some things. Like I got out yesterday and I went to the parade here in Denver, which is one of the largest, if not the largest in the country, so I heard.
Right.
And it was cold in the morning. It was nice by the time we finished. I mean, I was there at like 9. We didn't finish up till like 1. This was an all-day lollipop. But the conversations was good, and the people sharing was good, and People trying to elicit support for different causes and different services. And so, the question becomes, are we celebrating, or are we, I was going to try to make up a term, but I can't figure one out right now, to celebrate and do some service action as well, because that's what we really need. The words are fine. And of course, we want to go back every now and then because there's so many hidden gems in there that we need to hear it again because we're in a different place. But the main thing that he spoke about, what are you doing about stopping injustice? What are you doing about ending racism? What are you doing to end poverty? And that requires more than just lip service. It requires more than margin as well. I mean, but we have to, that's why one of the things associated with his holiday is his day of service. And I think next year we should play that up a lot more. It's like, go do some service and take some pictures of yourself doing service and post them somewhere. We got all these posts going on. Let's post them somewhere.
Amen. Absolutely. I like how you say it, right? We do quote, and we have to quote because we know that this all starts in consciousness first. Mm-hmm. If we don't believe it in consciousness, we're never going to be able to demonstrate it in our lives, in the world, in the organizations we work for. And I want to share one of my favorites because this is the one for me. He's quoted from 1968, or later in his life, he said, "When I speak of love, I'm not speaking of some sentimentality or weak response. I'm speaking of a force which all of the great religions have seen as the supreme unifying principle of life. Love is somehow the key that unlocks the door that leads to ultimate reality." Mm-hmm. And I think that can be the easiest place to start.
Yeah.
Is simply embracing that sense of unconditional love. I may not agree with you. I may not see the world through the same eyes that you do. And if I can come at it from the power of love, then we got a chance to change something.
Yes. And one of the speeches that I was reintroduced to this holiday is the speech he gave 4 days before he was assassinated. There's a speech out, and I would advise everybody in the audience to try to go see it. There's a speech called Remaining Awake Through a Revolution. Remaining Awake Through a Revolution. And that's pretty much what we are right now. We're in a revolution, right? Across the whole globe in terms of economic system, political system, climate systems, relationship systems. We're in a revolution. These things are changing, right? And the thing is, are we going to stay awake? Or are we going to get lulled asleep and just forget about it and not do our part and not be participating in the revolution? And in that, in that talk, he starts it off talking about Rip Van Winkle. And he says he goes up in the mountains, he goes to sleep for 20 years. King George was around when he left. George Washington was the president when he came back. And he's like, there was a revolution going on between King George and George Washington, and he was asleep during the whole revolution. And then he takes off and goes on that about, are we going to remain awake through the revolution?
Okay, there we go. I may have heard this speech, and to the best of my knowledge, I'm not sure if I have or not. But while you were sharing, I was over on YouTube, and guess what, folks? There's the link. There is a copy. You can go check it out, but don't click that just yet. Wait until after today's show, then go click it. Stay with us for a little while longer, and then go click that link. So, but
that's what we got to do.
Yeah, I'm reminded. I was reminded this weekend that he was only 39.
Yes,
I think some of us. I know I do. I have a tendency to forget that. He was only 39 and gave us such a rich body of work, but also a great example of how to approach these issues from that nonviolent perspective and through a teaching of nonviolence. Now, obviously, many of those that did not follow or want to see the world through his eyes, his perspective, then rely on violence to try to sway the ideas, sway people away from his concepts. But he really, for me, was the earliest inspiration I can remember of how do we do this by not making the other guy wrong, or not being violent about it, at least being able to call people in rather than calling them out.
Right. And the one thing that that he talks about in this whole idea, the whole idea of getting involved. It's a worldwide thing. You got to get involved, and that without it, nothing's going to change.
Right. Exactly.
My internet looked like it's getting a little slow here.
It's getting a little laggy, but we're catching what you're saying. So, and we want to remember, King himself said, our goal is to create a beloved community, and this will require a qualitative change in our souls as well as a quantitative change in our lives. New Thoughters, this sounds pretty straightforward, right? We got to change the quality of our souls, of our change our thinking, change our consciousness. But that also then requires us to do the work of changing how we show up in the world, of in what ways we show up and which ways we do the work. And I get, I'm sure you do as well. I get downloads all the time on things that could be better in my life, or things that maybe I should change in my life, ways I could look at the world a little differently. All of that is the qualitative change of the soul. It's the way we're being asked to perceive our lives and how we show. And then that leads to the change in the form, in how we get to show up.
Yes. And that's where we are. I think one disservice that has happened in this new era of things is all of this stuff requires commitment and discipline. And those appear to be two things that we're very short on these days.
Yeah.
And I'll throw in there for good measure that both of those sit on is patience.
Yeah.
And so we have to begin to develop, discover, and cultivate these three things: commitment, discipline, and patience. Because without them, nothing that is or will ever be will not happen without those three things.
Yep, exactly. Well, and I love how you hit on this, because the patience piece is where, okay, I'll admit it, I'm a little challenged sometimes. I want to jump in and fix things, get things done. But that's the piece that's the most important, is to be able to sit and not wait, but sit in witness to how these things come about. And I think that on both sides, it's all far too easy to, rather than listen to each other, to just be marking the points that I can contradict in what you're speaking, and come rushing into the conversation with my ideas and but wait, you haven't heard how I think about this yet, rather than being patient to say, okay, what wants to happen here?
Yeah.
Now, these are not new conversations for you and I. You and I have been talking about beloved community for going on 10 years or so at this point. Maybe even more, actually. And it has taken a whole ton of patience to get to the point where I think you and I are both now, where we get an opportunity to let's practice this more. Let's demonstrate, be this more rather than just study about it and talk about it.
Right. See, and in that speech, he spoke a little bit to that, I think, in this thing where he says, we are challenged to develop a world perspective. No one can live alone. No nation can live alone. And anyone who feels that he can live alone is sleeping through a revolution. The world in which we live is geographically one. The challenge that we face today is to make it one in terms of brotherhood or in terms of community. And so this thing was spoken in 1968 and it still rings true today. That we have to do globally.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another place where I believe King was well ahead of his time. Yeah. And in the midst of the civil rights movement, he's not only preaching for the immediate local justice of Black Americans, but he's speaking to that fact that if we want to see this really actualized, if we really want to become a beloved community, we got to start looking globally. We got to start thinking globally. And that requires a consciousness. Now, here again, this was the 55th anniversary, I believe, of his assassination. 54th?
Yeah, I think it's the 50th for the actual first holiday was 83, so it's 50 for that. And then I think it's close to 64 as assassination.
So my point in this is his words had the power and was moving consciousness when he was alive. And his words and power have been moving my consciousness since I was born. It doesn't seem all that surprising to me that we are starting to see these words come to form. Right. We're starting to see a movement. And this is part of our theme today, right? Is we're starting to see a movement across the New Thought arena towards not just learning from King, but learning how we actually create a beloved community.
Yes. Yes. And having a community, I mean, being part of a community, being a leader of a community is hard work. Let's just face it. Because one of the great challenges today is how do you get people to immerse themselves in the community? It's, like you think about here in Colorado when the pioneers came across, right? They had a community because everybody had to work together. Either we work together or we die alone, right? And so everybody was, doing what they did, gardening or farming or cattle herding or whatever, but they did it together as a community.
Right.
Because it's difficult for one person to have all the skills to do everything that's needed to be done if they're trying to be an island. And we know that doesn't happen. And so this whole idea about the beloved community is where we each contribute to the whole and we do it lovingly because we know there's the law of reciprocation that happens when I give, it comes back to me and vice versa. Not that I hoard it all and now I control everything and I meter it out to you, which is what's going on today in a lot of ways.
I was in a conversation earlier today and some people might find this blasphemous, but our conversation led us to a point that in many ways, the science of mind is kind of, let's call it elementary education for many. For many, it feels groundbreaking. It feels like when you first walk into a New Thought Center or religious science church or a Center for Spiritual Living or Unity Church or any of these communities, it feels like this is groundbreaking. However, once we've been around it a while, we start to realize that it is in some ways rather basic because I've spent 20 years watching watching communities worry mostly about themselves and very little about what's going on around them, and insulating themselves to do the work in consciousness. And occasionally somebody comes along and, we collect some blankets, or we wash some cars, or we cook some meals, or we stuff some socks and toiletries in a plastic bag.
Yeah.
I think I really believe, and I know you and I are both committed to this, on a new renaissance within the New Thought movement, to worry a little, concern ourselves, let's not use worry, but concern ourselves a little less with how many people are in the seats and how many people are showing up to classes, and start judging our success a little bit more by how we're serving the community around us and how our community grows because of that kind, loving service.
Yes, and that has to happen, right? Because the way people relate to religion and spirituality these days is very complex. So
yes,
there is no one size fits all. There has to be some way for people to get involved and feel connected, right? Which is that spiritual piece, to feel connected and providing some kind of love offering, if you will, of themselves, that we can no longer do business as usual. And that is it, because that is what we are here to do. Is we have to, we as spiritual aspirants and leaders and so forth, our job is to it's like the thing about the horse, right? They say you can take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. But that's not the charge. The charge is to create a thirst so that they want to drink. And that's what we have to begin to do. We have to create a thirst that people want to drink. And then we can make a move.
Yeah. You're right. Yes, absolutely. And in today's age, I don't see the younger generations wanting to spend half their Sunday in getting their spiritual food, if you will, getting the message that they're most needing to hear in the moment, or whatever it might be. Now, they're willing to do that when they make a commitment to a class or to a project, a workshop, or other things. It's not that everybody says it's attention deficit. I don't think so. The young kids of today are more focused on activity that brings value, meaning, and moves the needle than just education or activity to stay connected, or because this is what we say you got to do. You got to take this class next, and then you take today's student, young or old, recognizes that we are living in the age of asynchronicity. You can get what you want whenever you want it. Entertainment, education, classwork. So really, I think what we are left with, and this is a good thing, is to focus on how to then take all that great information, all that great inspiration, and as we keep talking about, funnel it into inspired action.
Right. And because in that speech, there's a statement I'm remembering that Dr. King talks about in terms of leadership, period, but definitely in spiritual leadership, is, he says something to the fact that genuine leaders are not searchers of consensus. And that's in some ways what we're doing now. We're trying to find consensus about, take a poll and figure out what's going on, and then we're going to go with the poll. His thing was, a good leader is a molder of consensus, that they're able to galvanize people around an idea and mold that consensus so that people are involved or engaged in the beloved community, if you will. And that's what we have to figure out a way to do now. We have to be able, that's that same idea of creating this thirst that we have to figure out at the different levels of our society, the young people, the children, the middle up and coming people, and the seniors. What is the consensus of those different groups, and what are the intersections? Because that's the real deal. We have to find the intersection between those, so that's where that beloved community sits. And then it allows everybody in there, depending on their various skills, talents, aspirations, or whatever, to go out on some expeditions and come back and bring that information to the community.
Yeah.
You know, because when you look at it, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, love. I return to 3 words when I start thinking of beloved community: love, justice, and solidarity.
Mm-hmm.
That deep, unconditional love for everyone around us. And I recently had someone in the network share that after years of being in this movement, they hadn't really felt unconditionally loved until they found New Thought Media Network and the people that are in it.
Nice.
And the people and the way the people of this network stepped forward and in various ways said, "We love you, you're amazing, you're right where you're supposed to be." And that is and I almost wept, because it's like, wait a minute, how long you been around? And and we're the first people. No, you should have been feeling this all the way along. We should all be in that place of the absolute unconditional love, because that is what leads us to see with a clear eye where justice and injustice are at play. I didn't realize the microaggressions that I was guilty of, and the places where I still allowed myself to cast major judgments on people because I wasn't fully in that place of unconditional love yet. But once I got there, or I'm there most of the time, sometimes I'm not there, but I'm there most of the time. When you're there, it's easy to see the injustice, and then therefore it becomes even easier to stand on the side of justice, to be in solidarity with truth.
Yeah.
With this big vision of a beloved community.
Yes. I mean, you know, that's part of a challenge that we have as we move forward, is how do we make people, and make people is not the right word, but how do we create an environment so that people feel needed and connected and wanted, so that, because I would submit that a large part of the self-destruction, if you will, of our young people and old people alike, I guess, really, is because they don't feel like they're part of anything, or they're so disconnected that they're like, I can't go on like this, or, you know, and I don't know what percentage of the people that are, you know, taking their own lives or involved in destructive behavior. But I would imagine there's a good percentage of those that are having those feelings.
Right.
And we have to, we have to, like, I was watching this morning, they had a news article on what's a living wage, right? And they were talking about Walmart, and they're saying Walmart is doing a good job and so forth. But then when they added it all up, it was like $29,000 a year, and some people are demanding that we raise the minimum wage from, like, I think the average is like $8 to $20. But those who are engaged in life, you can't raise a family. You can hardly raise yourself on $29,000 a year.
Right. Yeah.
So that's where a community is needed, right? To help out when someone is in that situation. But right now, that's not even remotely possible.
Yep. And this is one of the places where this philosophy can be so incredibly beneficial, is Laura and I, my wife Laura and I, we were reflecting on this just last night, actually.
Right.
The amount of ancillary good that comes into our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in the little things and in the little ways sometimes. But when you start to add up how the ancillary good, the extra good, the good that we don't count on, the hey, it all started because there was a gift card on our Amazon account for like $100, and I couldn't figure out where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
I'm digging through my Amazon account, and I'm like, how did we end up with $100 gift card on our Amazon account? I don't know where this came from, but I need, I've been looking to get this one thing, and now there's money in the account, so I'm gonna go get this thing I wanted, and it'll be here next Sunday, but or no, this Sunday. But anyway, point being, it's not about the money. It's the ancillary good. And what I found out later was Lara responded to an online invitation to do a survey for a company associated with the same industry that she's working in, and and one thing fell together, another thing fell together, and the thank you gift for taking 20 minutes or half an hour on this survey was $100 Amazon card.
Nice.
Sweet. Nice. Right? That's the ancillary good. She didn't do it for the card. She didn't do it for the money. She did it because a colleague in the same vertical needed some help on filling out, get enough respondents to a survey within their industry that they rewarded. Okay. We didn't know what it was when she did the survey, and I'm getting new supplies for my fish tank. Cool stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't happen immediately upon walking into the door of a New Thought community. We each have to make our own individual commitments to learning and living these principles. And again, here I go, I'm beating the drum again. But as soon as we understand this, we got to take it out into the streets.
Yeah, yeah.
Not hide it under a basket.
There was that song. I think it was Martha and the Vandellas. We're taking it to the street. And that's what we have to take this to the streets, and not just by shouting, but we have to go out and demonstrate. I mean, that's one of the cornerstones of religious science. It is about demonstration, not talkification. We have to be able to be that example. So when people look at our lives, when they look at our the way we handle trouble, the way we handle joy, the way we move about in the land, that becomes the living testimony.
Yeah.
Of what it means to be in tune with the higher powers and to have a beloved community that you can call on.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my word. Taking it to the streets. Here we go, everybody. And okay, now we know that's going to look different for everybody.
Yes.
And we're pretty sure there's a group of people right now that are sitting saying, okay, this is all well and good, but I don't have the training. I don't have the knowledge you guys have. I haven't been through the classes you guys have. How can anyone, how do we get started? Where do we get started? Well, lucky for you, LZ and I have been doing some idea shopping in the background, and we've come up with a way. This is called Embracing Beloved Community. It's going to start in February. Reverend LZ and I will be facilitating this together, and the entire 10 months. Yes, 10 months, folks. We're going to meet once a month to work through for a couple hours to work through, but that doesn't mean that that's all we do throughout the coming year. There is going to be we will have an entire community section dedicated to this group. because what we're looking for and what we want to offer and what we've put together is a really deep dive into, well, we're calling it embracing the beloved community, because we don't want to just create beloved community. We want to embrace everyone. And as we've talked about already, this is not a one pony show.
Right.
It's got to be a concerted effort for yourself, for your community. If you're a spiritual leader, if you're a practitioner, if you're someone in a leadership position within a New Thought community, this program's for you, because we're going to collectively work together, not just to understand how all this works, but to actually put these principles into practice in our own lives and in the lives of the communities we serve. And what I am confident of, because I went through this program last year with a group of facilitators and was trained in how to do this program and have the certificate to prove it. I shared so much of it with Z last year as I was going through it. He's like, I wanted to be in this. So we're doing it again. Now we're going to facilitate it, and we're inviting you to join us. So send us an email, drop us a comment, let us know if you or anyone in your organization would like to learn more about how this is all going to work and how it's going to be put together. And we really have put this together in a way we think it can be accessible. Of course, sessions will be recorded. The private sharings will not. The information will be available if you miss a month or not. But I'll tell you what I found last year was I couldn't wait to get together with my beloved community group, because while only parts of it were being implemented within New Thought Media Network, I watched other communities implement even bigger portions of this in bigger ways with more people. And that's where we're going this year. We'd love for you to join us, whether you're part of this network or in this ministry or part of another group, or thinking about getting your own group started. This is the kind of class that's going to support you in demonstrating this, activating this, and before you know it, you'll be taking it to the streets as well.
Yeah, and one of the key things I'm excited about is the collaborative nature of the program. Because we all have different experience and skills and have been able to navigate the roadmap, if you will. And so, one of the things that we're going to do here with this is provide a
well,
I think that we have a collaborative group effort.
You froze up on us on that one, Z. So
yeah, I popped out of there for a minute. I don't know what's going on.
That's all right. We'll give you another chance to share what you were sharing.
I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, so I was saying, the thing is, it's a container for us to share our knowledge and wisdom and to give a framework for how we utilize it together.
Exactly. Our main objective is creating powerful relationships with New Thought leaders, visionaries, and community builders. Explore the growing edge of spiritual community, both physical and virtual. As the leader of a virtual community, I'm really excited Z gets to bring forward the expression of leading a physical community. And so everyone out there from the Center for Spiritual Living Denver, we'll see you at this, I'm sure. We're going to activate the vision of a global beloved community and also retune your skills and share your talents. We know, folks, that anybody finding their way to this course has a knowledge of what we're talking about. This isn't going to be new information. This is not your basic walk in the door, I don't know what New Thought is type of class. This is going to be that type of place where you can retune the skills you already have and recognize, hey, here's how the skills that I have or the practices that I so enjoy fit into this framework and this model of how we create beloved community across the planet. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Z. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it too, because the idea of a community, a beloved community at that is engaged, is what everybody's looking for. You know, how often do you hear people say, "Oh, what are you gonna do this weekend? What you did? What?" You know, they're looking to be engaged in something. They're looking, whether it's a fun activity or a building activity, they're looking to be engaged. And so we want to come up with this container for people to embrace that idea and to be able to offer that kind of environment for people to get involved.
Mm-hmm. Amen. And you're going to watch us do this over the coming year, folks. Through this program, New Thought Today, and other programming on New Thought Media Network, you're going to hear more about this, but you're going to we'll check in on occasion, let you know how it's going, and you're going to get to witness how this evolves and how this changes and how this helps to grow not only the New Thought Media Network, and we're going to be doing similar activities with Centers for Spiritual Living Denver, and we're going to get to watch how, again, this works on both the virtual and how this can work with physical communities. We'd love to hear what you've got, what you like.
It's going to take all the types, right? It's going to take all the types of community So, you know, I'm hoping that, my internet over here, maybe the snow is starting to fall already and messing with my internet. But I'm excited. I'm hoping people come and join us and share and learn and grow and in effect create a little community among ourselves that we can go out and activate these principles in life.
Exactly. Yes. Not sure who Prosperity Mission is, although I do like your handle. And thanks for joining us from Facebook. You know, folks, I will say this real quick. We would really appreciate your viewer hours on Facebook, or excuse me, on YouTube. We are very close to our goal of 4,000 watch hours, which will turn us over into the category of being able to monetize on YouTube. That's a big step for us. We would love your help. So if you didn't get the chance to watch this whole program, go back and watch a replay, or please check out a couple replays over on our YouTube channel. Prosperity Mission is saying, wonderful. The beloved community thought was actually introduced at Unity of Fredericksburg last Sunday. I and we, the community, look forward to SOW Love and creating this beloved community. Thank you for chiming in and sharing your thoughts with us. Yes, as I will share, the work that LZ and I are presenting is not completely and wholly our own creation. The group I was a part of last year, and I'm sorry I don't have their names in front of me, a group of Unity ministers created the training, created the program. LZ and I are bringing our touch to it, making some changes to the way the program flows to be a little bit more of the joint physical and virtual style. And we're bringing in other authors. Those that follow this show know that we both adhere and love the writings and the work of Sharif Abdullah. And we're already looking at how we add a little of Sharif's work into all of this and really expand the program and the process as well. So we'd love to hear from you and join us. But I do believe whether it's Unity, whether it's Science of Mind, Centers for Spiritual Living, Divine Science, International New Thought Alliance, affiliated New Thought Network, I think you're going to hear more and more and more about how we create beloved community, because part of the vision there is that, you know, we throw in that word global because we want to set that intention that we're not bound by the borders of the United States or even North America. And this doesn't just, again, it doesn't just become a global thing overnight. It's small groups of individuals coming together to make change in their community and pockets of people, because if we're all working towards the same goal in our individual communities, that synergy, that alignment cannot be denied. And it's not like we're trying to create a bunch of beloved community churches, right? This is a framework that you can use to expand and grow as an individual and as an organization or community.
Yeah, and the thing I like is, me, I love my metaphors, and it's just like the conceiving of a human being. Two small cells come together and form a community of two, and then as they continue, that community grows and grows and grows until it becomes a human being, right? And then within the human being, there are separate the greater global community called you and me, called the heart and the lungs and the liver, and so all of those are beloved communities because they are beloved to the body of you, right? And they know that they have to stay in tune for you to be in tune. And if you get out of tune, they get out of tune, right? So this idea is prevalent all throughout nature.
Yes. Amen. Amen. And it wouldn't be a complete episode if my brother Elzia didn't bring us back to nature, to the nature of the human body and the nature of our system. And the next thing he's going to tell you is we got to remember to look at this from a whole systems perspective. Yeah. Because if something's ailing the body, you don't just fix one part. The doctor's got to look at it all. What are the blood, what are the different levels in your blood on this, that, and the other thing? What's your diet? What's your diet look like? What's your exercise look like? All the various parts of this are going to have to work together. And that means that churches, centers, religious organizations, we're going to have to partner with other nonprofits in other sectors. We're going to have to be willing to partner with business organizations in our community. We're going to have to be willing to partner with the governmental organizations. We might even have to go sit down and have lunch or dinner with some people that we don't agree with in order to make this happen. But that is the calling of our time.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And to be honest, I'm frightened and I'm excited all at the same time. And because that's life, right? I mean, even when we step into things that we know we want and love, there's still that little bit of fright there because you don't know what's going to happen. But when you step into it with great intentions and you step into it with the open heart and you step into it from the perspective of the beloved community, then things happen.
Yeah.
The unexpected actually happens. And before you know it, you're in a different place and space and things you thought before have just totally been rearranged and changed. And you're saying, wow, look at what I did. Look at what we did. Look at what you did in terms of changing ideas, changing minds, changing habits, changing situations as environments so that everyone is left better and more whole than when we started.
Yep. I'm reminded of a business book I read not long ago, and I think I have it here pretty close at hand. But the book title is That'll Never Work. And it's the story of Netflix. And it's the story of the early days of Netflix when everybody said, that'll never work. Now, anybody that's aware of where Netflix is now, you can understand why they chose that, why the owner chose that as the title of his book, because they said it'd never work.
Yeah.
And his philosophy was, oh yeah, watch us.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it feels like New Thought as a whole has, there's two types of people in the world. Those that reduce people to two types of people in the world and those that don't. But there's two primary thought patterns that I see emerge. Well, one that's emerging and one that is the old thought.
Yeah.
The old thought in New Thought is get yourself a storefront, open up a building, and the people that are meant to will come to you. I believe the new thought in New Thought is we've got to be proactive in how we serve people, and we got to go to the people. We can't just sit around. So there are those that'll say this will never work, but we know it is. We know it is working. We have examples of communities where this is working, and we're going to keep creating opportunities and examples to demonstrate we are creating beloved community. We are embracing beloved community. We're on the way towards being the beloved community. And I think together we really can change the world. I know we can.
Yeah. I mean, because there's another saying that says you're either in the way or on the way. And I want to be on the way and not in the way.
Yeah, I want to be on the way. Exactly. If I'm in the way, I ain't doing the work I'm supposed to be doing.
No.
Unless that's from keeping you from hurting somebody. Then being in the way might not be a bad idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to get in your way if you're trying to. Right, exactly. Folks, this is New Thought Today here on the New Thought Media Network. We are so grateful that you are with us. Please feel free. Let us know. Who would you like to see on this program? Who should we bring into these conversations? Now, we're not afraid to have a guest or two on the show. We'll have a whole panel of people if we get the right panel together. But we want to hear from you, and we'd like to know who you think we should be talking to. Who are the leaders? Who are the up-and-coming visionaries within the New Thought movement that perhaps have a little bit of a different take on how this all happens? Or perhaps you're really interested and really excited to help create a beloved community alongside us here at New Thought Media Network, or perhaps in your own local physical community. Either way, give us a shout. Reach out on Minister Talk at ntmedia.org. Leave a comment on the show. And hey, remember, we would love to have you join us for Embracing Beloved Community. It's a deep, deep dive. It's a big commitment, 10 months. And it's one meeting a month. And then you will have regular opportunity for interaction, although it won't be required in between our sessions. So we invite you to reach out. Let us know if you'd like to learn more about that.
And there will be a little homework, though. There will be a little homework in that month. Oh,
yes. There might even be a requirement to go out and get your hands a little dirty, too, somewhere along the line. But yes. But we don't want to give it all away just yet. Join us, folks. Think about it. Give it your love and attention. Again, if you'd like to talk to myself or Reverend Elzia, we're more than happy to get on a phone call, get on a Zoom call, create a conversation, and help you make sure this is really for you or your community. If you'd like to have that call, get in touch with us. All right, Z, almost time for us to get out of here. So let's do a little final thoughts. What do you got today?
Yeah, well, I think the only way we sustain a life that's worth living is that we have to do it in community. And so my final thoughts is join a community, whether it's this community or a community of bikers or a community of fishers, community of, but join a community so that we can begin to set a resonance for a heartbeat that is common and supportive of life itself. And then the rest will get itself all worked out.
Yes. Amen. Amen. Folks, before I share my final thought, I do see this one also from Prosperity Mission recently. It said the technology is scary good. Yes, it is. The technology is scary good at helping us to stay connected, helping us to stay involved, and helping us to know what's going on in the world. Yes. So I want to invite you to come join us. As I said, we're going to have a whole dedicated online space for the people that are a part of this program. So we'll be able to utilize the technology. And if technology isn't just scary good, but it's just plain scary, don't worry, we'll take it easy and we'll hold your hand and we'll make it easy for you. So don't let that technology keep you from being a part of what we're creating here. And that's my call. That's my final thoughts for the day is we're creating something here. And I believe that is our nature as humans, is to create. And so we'd love to have you, if not join our creation, go out and create something. Go out and create a feeling of beloved community. Go out and create a sense of belonging for somebody who isn't feeling that. Somebody on the street, somebody that's maybe showing up at your church or community center that doesn't feel like they belong. Create a sense of belonging, because that's one of the ways we create a beloved community.
Yep.
All right, folks, we're getting out of here. Thank you for being with us. Please tune back in again soon. Share with your friends, share with your neighbors. Heck, share this with the people you don't like. They might find something that makes them think for a minute. Regardless, please stay involved. Stay a part of the New Thought Media Network. We'll be back next Tuesday with more. Until then, I want to wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.
Peace.